This camera is rolling.
Speak. Sound speed.
Speak.
Cool,
I'm
two
speaking.
cameras, A and B. Austin, take two, Mark. No, not take two. Interview two. Crap, why did I write two on there?
It's fine.
Yeah, you'll know it.
Yeah, we'll know.
Got some
He's the blonde one. Okay, so why don't you operate this so that
I will
can...
tell you, down the other side.
So, will you just start by introducing yourself and telling us what you do?
My name is Austin Peralta, and I play piano.
And specifically, you play jazz piano?
Most often jazz. I play classical as well for my own entertainment. Basically, whatever the gig calls for. I play as much as music as I can.
What distinguishes jazz from classical in your head, besides the obvious?
Well, classical was my starting point. That's how I learned to play music, was by studying that. And I guess when I was around 10, I heard some Bill Evans, and ever since then, I wanted to play it. You know,
What is it about it that attracted you?
it was something, he played this one little line, and this is after years of playing classical. I heard this line, and it clicked in my head, and I was like, wow, I'd love to be able to play that. And at first, I had no idea what I was doing. It was foolish. I was like reading books and listening to recordings, trying to figure out how to play jazz, and it was impossible.
So reading books and listening to recordings is not how you do it, so how do you do it? How did
Well,
you learn?
it is. It just takes a long time. Like, I don't think you can learn by sitting in a classroom. You have to learn by doing it. And that's how I learned to play jazz, at least, was by playing gigs with people, by meeting new people, and, you know, jamming as much as I could. And the more I listened to recordings and the more I played with people, the more it came together.
And would you say, I mean, classical seems to be something that you could do more solitary, you know, sitting down in a room. And can you talk about the importance of interaction with other people to play jazz?
Well, I think in both classical and jazz, you depending on what you're playing, you are often forced to interact with people. But I think there's something different about classical music versus jazz in the regarding interaction, because with classical you're working on a preconceived form that you're working with, something that you have to bring life to. But with jazz, oftentimes it's just spontaneous creation. So it's a different kind of mental telepathy between musicians that goes on, I think. And I mean, I think you're accessing different parts of your brain. I don't even know how to describe it really, but there's a communication going on between the drummer and the bass player and the piano player when you're playing jazz in that improvisation that is beyond sort of the intellectual.
Beyond the conscious, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Something a little
Say
more
it.
cosmic.
Could you say it's beyond the conscious? So it's not me saying it?
Oh yeah, something definitely beyond the conscious.
And what is it? Would you say that a great player is a master is better at feeling what's going on in the room, and a worse player maybe is stuck in his own head more? Or I could be wrong, but
I think a lot about this when when I see younger people play, or people that aren't, that haven't honed in on their skills yet. And I think one of the most, or perhaps the most important component to this is the ear, and being able to like completely immerse yourself in the music at the moment and hear everything that's going on at once. Listen to what the drummer's playing, listen to what the bass player's playing, listen to what the horn player's playing. The more you listen, the better you can interact. Really, I think that a lot of people have told me the greatest musicians are the greatest listeners.
And are there certain guidelines to what you're supposed to be listening for, or I mean, what you're trying to get a grasp of everything that's going on, and what is it that you're listening for?
Well, I notice when for example, when kids are coming up and they're learning to play in schools, and they're in that sort of formal environment where they're in front of a teacher playing music, they're forced to bring something to the table, and they're told to get better and better. You're not playing well, you need to play better today. And so, they learn a requisite amount of things that they know they can play, and they're comfortable with that, but they're not. What's lacking is like listening to everyone else in the room and sort of understanding that I don't have to rely on just everything that I know. If I listen to the other guys at the moment, I can come up with new things on the spot, And
so are you sometimes surprised by what comes out of your own fingers?
Sometimes, yeah, like that's when I'm really like in tune with it, or in touch, or channeling, if you want to say. But I think I think that there's a level like for younger people that, or at least people who are not masters yet, where they're not confident with getting in that zone, or they haven't experienced getting in that zone with music yet. So that's why they can't completely. And any sort of external influence can hinder your flow. You know, there's days where I can't play at all, or at least to me, I can't.
And do you think that there's a certain element of risk involved when you're doing stuff that's brand new that you haven't when something new is coming out of
Well,
you?
that's what I have to overcome. Like I can sit there and constantly be tripping myself out in my head, going, "Oh, is this right or is this wrong?" Or "Oh, am I playing the right thing or is this gonna fit?" But if I just kind of like surrender to it, and I come with the confidence that I have as a musician that I know what I know and I know I can bring this to the table and I've had this much experience, then then no, it's not even a risk anymore. It just becomes like communication.
And how old are you?
18.
So you keep talking about younger people and it must be striking to a lot of people that your level of expertise at such a young age. Are there many people your age who play at your level?
Yeah, I mean, there are musicians. I mean, there's not many. It seems to be people come into it a bit later. I don't know. Maybe I've just I started playing at 6 with classical, and I think classical has given me what I have. It's given me that musical sensibility.
And do you have any advice for young people wanting to learn how to play?
Just to listen to as much music as possible with again your ears as open with their ears as open as possible, paying attention not just to the instrument that they play, but everyone else. You know, playing as much as you can, writing music, just every aspect, every angle. Approach it from every angle, and be confident. Be confident. Don't sulk and be worried about what you're doing or think this could turn out bad. Just come to it with confidence.
And are there qualities of people that you look up to, that you aspire to be like, that you are thinking about that you need to channel? Who are some of the people that you really most look up to that are the masters in your life?
Musically speaking,
Yeah.
I look up to a lot of people. I've been really getting into one of my all-time favorite pianists, Herbie Hancock. I've been checking his music out recently, and just listening to the subtlety of his expression is just mind-blowing. So I've been trying to pay attention to that, and I'm always trying to hone my skills and make them better and become more versatile. I want to be able to play as much different music as I can, because that can only make me better.
And what's your ultimate goal? I mean, you're already playing so well and you're 18. What is like true mastery, like the top that you could be? What do you imagine if all goes well when you're 50 years old?
Well,
will you have invented new types of music? Will you have
I'm trying to find my own voice. If all goes as I plan it, I'd like to be performing, my own music, writing music, but coming up with something new that hasn't been done before, whatever that may be. I'm working on my voice, my writing right now, as most musicians are, but just to have brought to the canon of music, not even just jazz, but music, my little mark. This is the Austin Peralta sound. This is what I want, to be remembered as. But
what's the importance of that? What's the importance of having one's unique voice?
Because if you haven't found your own sound, most of the time, what are you doing? You're just regurgitating someone else's style, and that's cool, like to be able to do that, I suppose. And everyone does that on their way to becoming great. But if you're going to contribute to the sort of creative zeitgeist or whatever you want to call it, you need to bring to the table your own voice. Let it be heard. It's what every great artist does.
Fantastic. Do you mind just playing a couple of riffs, just of whatever inspires you right now, just for about 2 minutes? Do you consider yourself a master yet?
No, absolutely not. No, I don't. I mean, I don't even know if I would ever consider myself a master. I think a lot of great artists are viewed after they're dead as masters, but I'm always just trying to strive to be better.
Yeah.
Even
do you like teach ever the piano yet, or you still see yourself as a learner?
I have taught, but teaching is not as much, at least my forte yet. Maybe that'll be something down the line, but right now I'm just focusing on consistently improving myself, becoming more versatile. You know, I've even come back to classical music recently and tried to, you know, get better at that, because that improves all the different sort of styles that I can play inform each other, you know, and make everything a little bit richer.
And would you say there was a definite point when you went from like kind of stumbling with the piano to feeling more and more at ease with it, to where more and more it becomes transparent what you are trying to do, and it just kind of happens?
Right. That's that thing. You know, for years when I was only playing classical, again, I would just read what was on the page, learn it, and memorize it and play it. Right. But with jazz, all music has sort of generally come naturally to me. Like none of my parents were musicians. There was no piano in the house. I just asked them for it, and once I started, I got into it. It was pretty easy for me. But as far as constantly being able to channel, when I'm in that zone, I'm not even thinking about what am I playing or what note. It's just what's going on at the moment with the other musicians, and this is what I'm bringing out. It's really hard to describe, but
Fantastic. Do you mind just playing a couple of grooves, just because I find that editing to the
Hey, Gallup,
Yeah.
you point the
Let me-
mic just to here to the piano.
Just another like 30 seconds for him, please, Austin. Just one wide shot.
Sorry, I know it's horrible to say. Like,
Great.
is that good?
fantastic. Thanks, Austin. I really appreciate that.
What?